We are living in fascinating times because on the one hand, we are a generation that has got more opportunity. If anyone wants to start a business, gets into investments, you can find the information online, you can read books about it, you can meet people that are doing it. And so we have this incredible way to actually start whatever we want, and the resources are there to even do it if we know how to collect those resources. But then on the other hand, we're also starting from a place where we have an education system which hasn't taught us how to use any of these resources, other than how we might be able to help and work with others through the skill sets that we've got in knowledge retention and the way that we're learning. What's so fundamental right now is that we are living in a gap of time before the education catches up, which it will, with the ways that every one of us can now be not in an employee society, but in an entrepreneur society instead. Well, in the last 7 years, I've had the privilege of working with entrepreneurs all around the world where we've been using a number of systems. These are systems I created. The first one's called Wealth Dynamics. The second one's called Wealth Spectrum. And I'd like to just share with you the principles of this, because if this is something that you find useful for yourself or for your business and your teams, then you're going to see that so quickly, once we start to apply tools like these, we can very, very fast get to a point where we are speeding up and accelerating not just our success and our wealth, but those that we are contributing to as well. So first of all, Wealth Dynamics. Wealth Dynamics, the best way for me to describe this is that Wealth Dynamics is all about who you are. Who you are, because all wealth starts from who you are, because we are all different. We know that as kids, and as we grow older and we forget how to play, we actually have to get back to a point where we see what it is that we're congruent with, of who we are compared to others around us. So the way that Wealth Dynamics works is that it's a square which divides up the way that we think. Because some of us have a high frequency thinking dynamic, which is called intuitive thinking, which means we're very creative. Some of us have low frequency, which means that we are sensory and very good at timing. And so you see that there are some people at the bottom here who have a totally different way that they think to the ones at the top. And the way they create value is different. Someone like George Soros, who's a trader, is brilliant at timing. Someone like Richard Branson, who's very creative, head in the clouds, is always going to be out there starting new things. So all of us have a natural way that we create value and then leverage that value through our action dynamic. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts. I don't have to go through all the detail right now, other than to share the fact that I may have an entirely different way to create wealth from you. So for me to just tell you how I did it, for me, is really not going to help you. And you may have an entirely different way from your colleague or from your daughter or from your boss. And so as a result, understanding where you are and where others are and where we are in our cycle of time gives us a really fundamental way for us to understand from the base of who we are. A little bit like playing a game of football. If you were to ask me, oh, Roger, so is it possible for anyone to play football? Of course it is. But first of all, you better know the rules of the game. You better make sure you've got a team. And most importantly, you better make sure you've got a position. Wealth Dynamics is about knowing what position you play most effectively so that others actually want to play with you. The second part, which is the Wealth Spectrum, is about the fact that even if you get to know how to play football, it doesn't mean you should just run out there and try and get to the first Premier League game you can and run on the pitch. You'll probably be sent off. Because the second part, Wealth Spectrum, is not about who we are, it's about where we are and where we are in terms of our level. Even things like karate have got levels where you can go all the way up to black belt. You go skiing, you have levels all the way up to the black run. So where you are is about the level you're currently playing at. And some people start right in big debt all the way through to people who know how to get out of debt every time. All right? We're going to see that there is a number of levels. And as you get more involved in either taking this test here and understanding Wealth Dynamics, or down here, after you know which is your profile out of the 8 profiles, you then know that there is a level within that profile which suits you. You'll find that out of these 7 levels, well, frankly, there's 9 levels, because as well as the visible spectrum of 7 colors, below red there's infrared, which is off the charts, and above violet there's ultraviolet, which is off the charts. You see that out of these, you have got 2 prisms in the middle. There is one which is called the foundation prism you'll learn about, which gives you the ability to find out why for so many people, no matter how passionate they are, no matter how ambitious they are, they just can't get themselves going in the ways that they hope they would. And so they keep getting stuck in ways they wouldn't expect to. And then there's also something called the enterprise prism, who are people who are already in investments, in business, already could be very successful, but keep getting stuck through other things, other blocks. And this happens too for many of us, where we have suddenly outgrow the business we're in. So understanding these 6 different levels, and then the 7th level, and the final 2, and you don't have to learn all of them at the same time. You learn one at a time, because what they talk about in the locker room at halftime at the World Cup is going to be totally different from what they talk about in the locker room for the school game that's happening on the weekend. Every one of us needs to start somewhere. By knowing that there's a place we can start moving up, we suddenly realize that every one of us is here to make a bigger contribution than we might imagine. And I know that for some people think, I don't know, is that really that easy? Look, there's this concept, if we look at life like a candle, where you could either say that within that candle, you get stuck in the wax, which is where it always feels tough. Or for so many people who actually step out of that wax, they realize they don't have to leave the candle. Above the candle, there's another part called the flame. And when you step into your flame, you realize that whereas in the wax is zero sum, you can only get more successful by someone being less. You can only be rich by someone being poor. To have more wax, you've got to take it from someone else. But once you get into the flame, which is what all of this is about, you start finding that it doesn't cost a flame anything to light another flame. In fact, as you light another one and light another one, you realize maybe that's the whole point of the flame. It's to light up. That is only when others light up that it gives yourself a chance to shine. That is the power of wealth dynamics and the wealth spectrum.